can you hear us? Josh.
Hey, Josh.
Hello.
Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
Can you count to 10 for us real quick?
All right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10.
Thank you.
Now in Spanish.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis.
Hey, qué bueno.
No. There's a really bad French joke about a cat and a boat, but I'll let it go.
Okay.
Cat sank.
Cool. We're gonna start in 8 minutes, if that's all right. Is that okay?
Yes, it's fine.
All right.
Oh, we're live right now. We can't start in 8 minutes.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
just
Are
sit
we
here.
really live?
We're really live right now.
Okay, here we go.
Way to stall it,
Just
man.
keeping it
Good
fresh.
job.
Okay, surprise.
All right, welcome everybody to Crypto Zombies, where we bring you the best brains in blockchain. So pretty thrilled to be joining you here today. Chris is gonna be joining us shortly. We got Mr. Human on the mic and
Nice.
Bryn Nguyen as well.
Awesome.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you for bringing us here. Thank you, Josh, for being here. This episode is sponsored by the people that got us Josh, Stone AI Holdings. Visit stoneaistudios.com to see how they're revolutionizing storytelling with AI-powered innovation and complete IP protection. Huge thank you to Nimbus Media for building their website. Check them out at nimbusmedia.io. And thank you, David Layton. Huge shout out to you because if it wasn't for you, we'd only have one show. And because of you, we have 3 shows.
David and the Witty Group.
All right. Well, Josh, we need to stall a little bit because one of our co-hosts isn't here. So give us the long bio of yourself. Help us to understand who you are, your background. Feel free to even tell us what grade school you went to.
Okay, well, Hillcrest Elementary in Morristown, New Jersey. There you go. I grew up in New Jersey, went to college at Duke and law school at Northwestern, and then came out to California in 1995. And I have been practicing law here ever since, with a brief hiatus to produce a movie. So I went the independent film route because if you're in LA, you kind of have to do that. I got married. I have 2 kids. I got divorced. I still have 2 kids. And I have an absolute passion for technology and for adoption and management of technology. And that has really driven things quite a bit of late.
Josh,
For sure.
I don't know if you know, but Human's past foyer was is a movie critic, like a world-class movie critic. And we just went to Sundance.
Nice. Well, we got into the Toronto Festival, but we're back in 2005 now, so I think we're long past critique.
What was your film, if you wouldn't mind telling me?
Oh, I don't mind. It's called Little Athens, and it's kind of an Altman 4-storyline kind of structure that meets in the 3rd act about a bunch of kids who have graduated high school, not going to go to college, silly things they do, and the results thereof. And it did pretty well at the time. But unfortunately, we took distribution with Think Films and they promptly went bankrupt. But if you have a DVD player, you can get it on Amazon for about 37 cents used. And there you go.
Oh,
Like
wow.
a coming of age tale.
Are you done? Are you done with the film industry? Are you still doing stuff in movies?
I do it when it comes up. I've got a fair amount of entertainment industry knowledge, music and film particularly. And, the blockchain use cases, some of which we're going to discuss, certainly cover that area also. There's a lot, in distributed ledger technology that hooks into the entertainment industry. So that knowledge is still very useful.
All right. Well, let's start with, we did a pre-call and I understand you have a half-written book.
Oh, God, yes, I do.
What's up with that, bro? How come it's only half-written?
Oh, it's only half written because the service that I was using for a lot of the technical stuff called Scribe went out of business and it just took all the wind out of my sails. And it was a legal kind of oriented, but for, relatively lay people on NFTs. And also a lot of the law on NFTs has changed since. So I'd really have to go back and hash it out. But at some point I may get there. We'll see.
I don't know if that hash was a blockchain joke, but well done either way. Josh, I was chatting with a friend of mine this morning, and he was telling me a little bit about irrevocable non-spendthrift trusts. which, as I understand, there are positive implications for crypto, because then you're essentially avoiding capital gains legally. I mean, this is not legal advice or financial advice. Can you help us like peel the onion a little bit? Are there some of these kind of unique vehicles to protect us against unfair taxes?
So yes, not legal advice and not financial advice. I will underscore that. There's all kinds of things. I mean, I of course know a whole bunch of people who just moved to Puerto Rico, and that, is spectacularly helpful from a cap gains perspective.
Well, yeah. Can you explain that too? Why people are moving to Puerto Rico? As you explained, Nick's
sure.
question.
And to be clear, I'm not an expert on this at all, but I know a lot of people who've done it. There's something called Act 60.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
Now it's a party.
Yeah. He's telling us why people are moving to Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And what's the other question?
Irrevocable
Spendthrift trust.
All right. Start with Puerto Rico.
So Puerto Rico Act 60, if you are able to go there and make an Act 60 filing, that will allow you to significantly reduce your taxes. I think, down to about 4% for certain types of income, and also is very helpful for cap gains. Of course, the catch is you have to live in Puerto Rico and be there for at least 180 days a year. For certain people, they really cut it right on the edge, but a lot of people doing it. On the spendthrift trust, I'm not a trust and estates guy, but in general, digital assets are property, and you can put property in a trust for sure. And if it is ordinarily going to provide a shield to cap gains, there's no reason why it wouldn't for a digital asset that I'm aware of. But again, not really my space.
Well, you are a lawyer, and let's start with the legal side of crypto. Can you tell me like some common legal mistakes people are making when they get involved with crypto that are pretty basic, but they're sort of booby traps that people sometimes fall into?
Yeah. So just from a 30,000 foot view, before hitting the specifics, one of the biggest problems is that there's just a lot of imprecision of language that the population just kind of grabs. So the term utility token is a good example. There really wasn't any such thing. It was a term that came out of a contrivance of the kind of West Coast law firms in 2017 when they were trying to not be a security, but it didn't really mean anything at that point in time. Staking is another one. So a lot of people will come up to me and they'll say, okay, I got a utility token. It does X, Y, or Z. And it's like, no, you don't. And that's not what you want it to do. And it's just
token, and it might mean that.
Right. Exactly. So I guess the general answer is the biggest mistake is people not knowing what they don't know and assuming that they've just kind of got it figured out. Which isn't to say that there aren't some very intelligent people out there that can do the research and get it right. Of course they can, but there's a level of complexity to it. The biggest thing by far now is still people with securities law trying to determine whether they can offer it as a security or not, and what that means. One of the biggest issues right now is people with the idea of distributing any kind of financial benefit through a token, and the biggest one is as a profit share. That's going to make it a security. It doesn't matter how you offer it. That takes it into the world of being a financial instrument, and a lot of people don't really kind of have a grasp of that, and they think, okay, well, if it does something with utility, then it's not a security. But it's a more complex analysis.
Do you agree with what he just said?
Oh, absolutely. Did you see Paul Atkins' speech this morning, though, where he actually said, he says most tokens are not securities.
Most tokens are not securities.
Yep.
So anything can be tokenized, literally anything, tangible or intangible. So I agree with that. Just the tokens that are securities, and that is kind of what it is.
As a lawyer myself, I agree with you completely.
Yeah. So I will point out, though, I'm now 40 pages into the 160 pages that came out yesterday. The federal government on
a big presentation by the Trump administration yesterday, which is being very positively received by the crypto community.
Yeah.
And then a follow-up speech by the SEC chair this morning, which was aggressively pro-crypto, and said, definitively, we want to onshore a bunch of the projects that have been taken offshore already.
Do you
So
think
it's a good day for crypto today.
so? Are you happy with this 160 pages that was released? You personally?
I have only flipped through the executive summary. I am generally very happy with it.
Okay.
And I think that there's a long way to go from here. One of the interesting omissions, though, which has been talked about previously, is a Bitcoin strategic reserve, which that did not show up in this document, which surprised a lot of people.
You know, it doesn't surprise me that it didn't show up in this document because it's not really pertinent in terms of the regulatory structures that everybody plays with.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Yep.
All right. So now that Trump has passed all this legislation that even the Democrats love,
I'm an identified Democrat, and this administration has done amazing things in crypto.
so
There's only one piece of past legislation, though.
Right.
Everything else is still in process.
That's correct. But
Clarity's
but just the
looking good.
SEC regulatory changeover is massive, and they.
Well, so Clarity's on its way, isn't that the second piece? That's
Yes.
in a couple months. That's
There
looking
are
like it will
bigger
likely
fights over that than there were over the stablecoin.
well, what is clarity? I'm unclear on clarity.
Can you give us some clarity on clarity?
There are a lot of people who are unclear about it.
Yeah, I actually don't know. Is it an acronym for something the way Genius is?
It is, but I can't remember what the acronym stands for.
It's
All
somewhat
right.
unclear, I suppose.
Well, none of us know. Okay, great. Well, so what was hugely illegal during the Biden time that's now sort of legal that everyone seems
everything.
Well, actually, let me draw, I think, a really important distinction here, and it is a personal soapbox for me. The answer to your question is nothing. Nothing changed. However, they were enforcing things that were not necessarily illegal as if they were. It was, frankly, a lot of kind of hypocrisy and a lot of, scare tactics that, bordered on unconstitutional at times.
all right. Well,
I agree completely.
this is a perfect moment to talk about our good friend Gary Gensler. Josh, what are your thoughts on Gary when you talk about hypocrisy? Is this sort of what you're referring to? Give us and go off a little bit. You don't have to hold.
Yeah, it is. And it was very, very disappointing, of course, because when he first came in, we were all thinking that this was a guy who knew.
He taught a crypto course at MIT.
He did. Yeah, but his he kind of showed his colors with all the personal appearances and the kind of things. He at one point said, "Just come down and file. It's a security. Just come down and file." So let me explain how ridiculous that is. So first off, the filing process to register a securities offering in S1 is a north of $1 million cost process that takes forever, and that's your IPOs. Secondly, you're talking about a class of assets, usually with utility-ish tokens, the ones that are not financial instruments, that don't lend themselves to financial disclosures that are in the rules. They don't lend themselves to GAAP accounting. It's not even possible to do the filing, and he absolutely knew that. Like he had to. It's like the most basic first year law kind of stuff. I mean, even law school, it's like GAAP audited accounting required for an S1, required for Exchange Act clients. Like everybody knows that. So sitting there and smiling on camera and saying, "Oh, just come down and file," is really,
disingenuous.
it's inexcusable.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about him?
Because we've got him backstage. Let's bring him out.
Well, I was gonna
I mean, you have to. I would come down for a personal cage match with Gary Gensler. If you want to do that, I'm happy to. I will get in the ring with Gary.
All right, so let's just have a little meeting without Josh. If we get Gary Gensler for the show, would that be a good thing or a bad thing?
We probably should be willing to have him on.
Josh, you want to be a part of that, brother?
Hell yeah.
All right.
Spicy. We'll keep it spicy.
That'd be great. I doubt that he would accept an invitation, but we can issue one to him. And
Do you know him?
I have met him,
And
I don't. I mean,
do you guys text?
No.
Oh,
no,
you
no,
don't.
no. Look, I agree wholeheartedly with the crypto community's criticism of Gensler, and that he was playing for the crowds. He was playing for Elizabeth Warren to try to get named Treasury Secretary, and obviously that's never going to happen. And I think that's a good thing for America and for the world. But it became ridiculous, and in a variety of points, and the SEC became a bottleneck against innovation in America, and that has changed. And I have broad criticisms about other things that the Trump administration has done, but boy, this is a really, really good thing for America that they're doing.
It's great for America. All right, let's move on to sort of AI and blockchain. You talk about the synergy between AI, blockchain, and crypto. Can you unpack that for us?
Sure, absolutely. So, the first thing is to recognize that they're both globe-changing, technologies, and it's very intuitive to understand why artificial intelligence is. We've been talking about that in science fiction for decades. Blockchain's a little bit harder to get your head around because we haven't been talking about it, and the power of a distributed ledger. But the short version is that with this open immutable ledger, you have a way of transacting without intermediaries, without trust, and that breaks down all bottlenecks. This is important for artificial intelligence because with artificial intelligence, what we're heading towards is agents that are going to be doing multitudinous transactions. I think I just made a word up at extreme speed, and they're not going to be able to use fiat currency as the currency within those transactions because it's too slow and it's too regulated and all kinds of things of that nature. So being able to just have a verifiable unit to transact in is critical to a lot of commerce that's going to be taking place. In the other direction, blockchain's biggest problem has been the fact that the user experience is atrocious and the user interfaces are atrocious, and people have tried to solve that problem in a variety of different ways. But the problem is that in order to solve that problem, you almost have to take away the things that make the blockchain special to begin with, which is starts first and foremost with people managing their own private keys. So abstracting that away hasn't worked, but an AI agent absolutely can deal with that particular issue for someone. So we're now at a point where you can instruct your agent. Agent, I want to trade, $3,000 of USDC for BTC, at the best possible price you can get, today. And the agent will sit there and it'll do that for you. And it can sign all the transactions. And it means that, I don't have to go to, a DEX aggregator or deal with, going through, a centralized exchange and putting a limit order or anything, whatever it is. It doesn't need to be me doing it. And that's, I think, going to be a very big game changer in terms of the amount of, transactions that kind of the less involved folks get into.
Do you agree with that, Chris?
I agree with this. And then I would add that when in a generative AI world, when all sorts of content can be created, the sort of legitimate provenance of where did a piece of content come from will also be tracked by blockchains. And so you have a variety of these deployment needs for trustworthiness of content, for using the distributed trust nature of a blockchain to know where something's come from.
Yep. And actually, just to add one piece of it is, I'm also a very big fan of distributed artificial intelligence. And what that is, if you think about artificial intelligence right now, you're probably thinking of large tech companies. You've got Anthropic, you've got Google, you've got OpenAI, and the issue with those being the options is that we don't really trust them. They're companies that are very much out to make their own profits and have been selling data and all the other kind of stuff. There's an alternative to that, which is to allow through a blockchain protocol the use of compute resources. In this case, it might be GPUs or whatever you're going to have to run those models in a distributed kind of fragmented fashion. And there's a number of protocols that have already done this in other areas.
Gosh is the most prominent in this area.
Yeah, Akash is great. I'm a Morpheus guy. I'm okay. Hosting the LA Morpheus get together at my house later today.
Excellent.
I've been talking with Manifest is another really good one. Ether is another. I mean, there's a bunch. But I think that's actually going to prove to be kind of an important kind of use case on a go forward basis.
So in the world of crypto, who's sort of catching your attention right now? Like, who are you looking at? And maybe we can go around the room. Nick, Chris, Bryn, you guys can also say as well. I'm not really following it, so go ahead.
Who was the comic really?
It's funny. I don't really keep track of people that well. I will shout out to the Chamber of Digital Commerce, which I'm a member of, which has been really wonderful and frontline in terms of keeping us informed of all the different things going on in Washington. And, we, have the ability to have input into some of the thought processes. We've written, a lot of letters to the SEC in response to Commissioner Peirce's inquiries. And I've worked on a bunch of those. So I really like them a lot, and I pay attention to what they're doing for sure. Again, I'm watching the Morpheus folks closely. And that's, the David Johnston and Ryan Condren and, a few other folks of that ilk who are very much OGs. And, I'm been longtime friends with Michael Turpin, and, Transform and BitAngels. And
I did a panel with Michael in San Francisco about 4 weeks ago.
Oh, right. Yeah. Awesome.
What did you guys talk about?
Well, we talked about Bitcoin primarily. He's got this book out about the Bitcoin super cycle, but he's been one of the key Puerto Rican players for quite some time. Super nice guy.
Yeah.
Nick, what are you keeping an eye on? What are you looking at?
Well, I was thinking about when we were talking when Josh had mentioned these new agents. Essentially, like that's one of three pieces that ChatGPT is going to be, ChatGPT 5 is going to be releasing. So we've got this terminal, so it can code for you. It's got the deep reasoning, which came out in 2003, and then it's got this essentially like a virtual computer as well. So I mean, do you think that these models are going to be helping folks kind of have access to more information and educate themselves? I mean, you mentioned that tokens don't know borders, so it feels like there's an important element of education here. So how are you thinking about this?
Yeah, so I mean, things are moving so fast. Everybody will have their own personal agent. Their personal agent will have a whole panoply of other agents that it dips to for particular things. There are new browsers coming out now, and NVIDIA's Perplexity is coming out with a Comet browser that thoroughly integrates AI into that. Google's obviously got Gemini.
Doesn't that kind of seem like regressive though? Like, what's the point of having a browser if in natural language you can just say what you want? Browsers and security and HTTPS, it feels like Java. It all feels like that's backwards in history.
There are a lot of existing protocols that you want to leverage in these situations, though. So that's why I think that those are seen as hybrid technologies. I think there probably will be some radical rethinking of the way that this is, and it's the Scotty calling for the computer on the Starship Enterprise, eventually, but.
Eventually, right? I mean, when you were saying that, I was thinking you still have to crawl before you can walk. The world is not ready to, give up looking at a screen and having a keyboard.
The habits have been ingrained in people, and the first steps toward the new habits are, have some of the old habits built into them.
Yeah, but besides that, what on earth would happen to the giant search business if we didn't have browsers?
Well, this is why Google has been a little bit moribund in the stock market lately. We'll see how they deal with that over time. But having an unbelievable revenue generator on ad inventory is a great way to pay for figuring out the future.
Did you guys hear that Google is indexing ChatGPT? I guess when you share one of your queries, that's all indexable now. So it's like,
is that good or bad?
I think it's horrible, actually. I think, I have two kids, and I look at my 11-year-old daughter chatting with Perplexity. I'm like, okay, everything you say is going into, public and reviewable. I'm a big, and again, this goes towards distributed artificial intelligence. I'm a very big fan of thin and medium LLMs that are locally hosted. And, from a law firm perspective, again, we can't send client data out there to train people's AI. Whatever it is, it's got to be here. So we can't have something that's as big as, the major models, the major LLMs, but we can definitely have something that's more focused. And I think, if as a person, if I've got a question about my health, I don't want to ask an LLM that's going to pump that out to the universe. I want that to be something I ask an LLM that, I know that information is going to stay in a particular, place. And I think we'll get in that direction. I hope we get that direction.
Can I ask an obvious question about what you just said? So you ask a question about your health, it gets pumped out. Do they know it's you asking that question about your health?
They certainly know it's your IP address.
Right.
I'm not technical enough to necessarily put it together, but I have to think that the answer to that is a hard yes.
It's just not that difficult. And, obviously some of the big internet companies on privacy grounds have tried to, basically put a wall between an IP address and what eventually gets personally identified. And there are policy reasons to do that. And there are enforceability, possibilities given the fact that they've made public disclosures about these policies and public statements about them, so they can be sued for breaching it. And by and large, I think companies can and should be sued for breaching the policies. The problem is it's definitely technically possible to re-identify any piece of content that people search for or said, and in some contexts you want that. You want to know that the Google searches for how do I, kill my boss, track to someone who's murdered their boss, right?
Right. That makes sense.
But in most contexts, you don't want that to be a free for all, so that your search for prostatitis leads to you getting only ads for things that fight prostatitis for the next 6 months.
Right. So before we get to the next hard hitting question for Josh, Bryn, what are you looking at?
Oh man,
what do you invest in? Educate the
I didn't
other
realize
three
you're
guys
coming to
on this
me.
show.
Actually, what I can't help but notice is World Liberty.
Okay.
They're really investing in what is it, 5% of all assets? I forget what they hold right now, but it's Trump's coin.
It's
Basically.
Oh.
It's Trump's.
How's it? Anyone want to say anything about Trump's coin? I'd like to hear about Trump's coin.
Trump's,
I will say, don't bet against it.
You're right.
yeah.
Oh.
Don't short it.
I actually would say that too.
Not financial advice, but don't short it.
But it's made it clear that it is it's a meme coin, not it's a collectible, not a security in any way. And
Is that good or bad?
I think that's mostly good. I think
So World Liberty Financial. So I mean, the Trump has a meme coin that is the Trump coin, and so does Ivanka for that matter. World Liberty Financial is a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more utility oriented. But of course, and I guess this is worth saying for anybody who doesn't have it, the utility tokens gain value based on supply and demand. So, you fix the supply or regulate the supply, you grow the demand, and that grows the value of each particular.
But that's not an inherent utility, though.
No. But the thing is, without the utility, you don't have demand growing. So this is why, World Liberty Financial and, everybody else who's got a utility token out there tries very hard to actually have the demand case for that beyond just sentiment investing. Grow.
Well, what they did when they did the TGE was to actually go take the proceeds from that and buy a bunch of Bitcoin and Ethereum too.
They did.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to something you're very passionate about, NFTs.
Yeah.
And how they're not overpriced JPEGs. Why don't you give us all your thoughts and your philosophy behind NFTs?
Okay, so I wrote half of a book on that, right?
By the way, this guy wrote half a book.
Please go ahead and plug your book.
Listen. He
you
wrote
can plug the whole thing, not just your half.
He wrote half the book, but the wind's been taken out of him. And by the end of this show, let's pump this dude back up so he can finish his book.
Oh my God! Yeah. All right.
We care about you, unlike the other people.
I appreciate that. Coming sometime in the next decade. So the first thing to understand is that an NFT is media. It's like every other token; it's software, and it is whatever it represents. And if what it represents is ownership of a JPEG, then that's what it represents. If what it represents is ownership of your health data, that's what it represents. If what it represents is a key to your garage door, then that's what it represents. And the reality is it can represent virtually anything. And that's a combination of smart contract coding along with, regular old fashioned contract writing. But you have to think of it like, from a regulatory perspective, asking how you regulate NFTs is like asking how you regulate paper. It's like, I don't know, is it, a share of stock? Is it a piece of toilet paper? It could be either one. So that's the first piece of it. It's just technology.
Okay, that's it.
Well, I mean, from there you explode into the use cases.
All right, so let's
actually, I
go
want
ahead,
to tag
please.
in there real quickly. So the podcast is the edge of NFTs. Is that right?
There is a podcast that is edge of. I mean, they do a bunch of stuff, but yeah.
Gotcha. Is that connected at all to, or if you had to make the connection to large language models, small and medium sized LLMs, is that kind of like they live in the same space? Are they just as heavy as one another? Is the value that they bring connected at all?
I'm not sure I'm understanding the question.
So you mentioned about LLMs on the edge, right? And I guess I'm just kind of curious, like, what does that look like now and moving forward? Do you think that we all will have our own personal LLMs that are more secure?
I see. Yeah. So that's a great question, actually. I don't know that our personal kind of data cache is going to be called an LLM per se. But, I've got a few clients that are in the digital twin business, where, they're creating artificial intelligence based on data that, is you for various purposes or is something connected with you. You can easily imagine in the workplace, when somebody leaves, you lose all the institutional knowledge that goes with them. There's use cases now for twins that, maintain that institutional knowledge and maintain that person's personality. And you could actually have an NFT be, the key to access that if you wanted to. That's easy enough. You don't have to. That same use case is being used for, grandparents who want to leave something to their grandkids so they can still talk with them and get advice. I mean, it's really mind blowing all the different ways you can apply that.
Especially when it merges with like a hologram or something.
Yeah, and we're looking at those too.
You can do amazing things that are moving. A very close friend of mine, his wife passed away about 2 years ago, or about a year and a half ago, and we were able to have her read her message to everyone in her own voice at the celebration of life. You can do some pretty amazing things with these, and you could build that into a model that's interactive too. So there are touching ways to do this.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're coming towards the end of the show, but Josh, give us what's your average day look like? Are you in the courtroom and maybe shouting at someone like that? I want the truth.
The number of lawyers who are
handle the
actually in
truth.
the courtroom. Yeah, exactly.
I get out of bed. I might shout that at my kids, and they'll look at me and go, "You can't handle the truth." They're that age. I'm very fortunate. If I'm in LA, I'm remote. Our whole firm is remote. So, you're looking at my workplace. I yell at that penguin in the background a lot. But I spend, 80 to 90 days a year traveling to various, conferences. And fortunately, people who plan cryptocurrency conferences tend to put them in nice places at good times.
Very true.
Yeah. So that's, when I'm out and about, and, I'll be heading to Seoul for KBW. I'll be heading to Singapore later this year. I think Argentina for Dev Connect, Burning Man, of course, which is, its own thing.
Are you going to all those, Chris?
So I have not been to Burning Man in 14 years.
How about the other?
But I've been to a number of the other conferences.
All right. So Nick, give him the final question that you always like to ask everyone.
So how do you think we could be helpful to you? I mean, we got zombies tuning in from over 80 countries all over the world, and we'd like to be valuable to our esteemed, delicious brains on crypto.
Brains.
So, my first answer to that is the altruistic one. Keep spreading the word. And, get people educated, get people passionate. It's, the technology is great, but it overlaps into all kinds of important things, government not being the least of them. So, just kind of educating and entertaining people to care is the first thing I'd say. Beyond that, I would love to keep talking with you guys.
Do you enjoy this?
We're doing our part, man.
Did you enjoy this, Josh? We know you do thousands of podcasts.
I had a
We're the
phenomenal time. Thank you.
Josh, we collectively believe in you. We know you can write that book. Do you want to write that book? Where are you at mentally?
Honestly, I'm a little past it. I got to be honest. I'm a little bit past it. Maybe it'll come back. Hard to say. But you know, there's other projects that I'm working on, and there's only so much time in the day and so many neurons.
Longitudinal projects.
Are they multi-longitudinal projects?
If you want them to be, sure.
Well, Josh, thank you so much for your time. Once again, thank you to David Layton and Stone AI Holdings. Visit stoneaistudios.com and nimbusmedia.io. Any final thoughts, Nick?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks to you both. This has been great. And also shout out to our friends at Nicodex. So if you're looking to help implement artificial intelligence, that's NECODEX.com. And for more of these delicious brains, follow and like on YouTube. So thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Josh.
Good to see you, Josh.
Thank you.